So, yesterday we had an active shooter drill at the school I was subbing at. And it was kind of horrifying. Not just because of necessarily what happened physically, what we had to do or what we experienced, but just like the whole concept of it. Like the thought that like you have to do this now, like this is our new normal, like this is what the world has come to. We have to have active shooter drills in elementary schools and every school and lots of other buildings and organizations, places of employment or what have you, are having these. And I was really proud of the children that we were with because it's not easy. They're a very, very young group of children. They don't really understand like the concept or the severity of like what we're doing. But anyway, luckily the teachers of the younger students in the school, they get the heads up. But I guess sometimes like a fire drill, like some teachers and students aren't given the heads up, which like I had to ask twice and make sure I heard that correctly, because if I'm understanding that correctly, that would mean that you might think that you were really in an active shooter situation. So like you might have a heart attack. I don't know. I have to look further into that. But I mean, like even knowing it was a drill, just like it was unnerving enough. And like, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like we go into, I guess, this little back room that's in back of the rest of the classroom. And our instructions are to turn the lights out and, to close the back room door and lock it. And the lights are also on in the classroom. And then the main door to the classroom, or off, sorry. And the door is locked, of course. And, the kids were awesome. I mean, we had some special needs children in that class, children who were very young, don't even know what an active shooting is. And, they were able to like stay quiet and stuff. But I mean, of course, I don't think anybody can go through that scenario without for like a split second, like wondering, okay, what would it be like if I was really, in a shooting situation right now? If someone came up in here, guns ablaze. And I remember hearing in a few of these school shootings that have happened recently that there were drills either supposedly going on then or had recently happened or were scheduled to happen or something. So, I mean, there's the likelihood of anybody being in a mass shooting or anything is, slim to none, but it can happen. And I mean, just again, the fact that like teachers have to go through this, principals and, they had a sheriff there. I guess now the school has a full-time sheriff. It's an elementary school. It's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But that was the first time I ever actually had to like, round up children and just we had to go and like you go get low after we turn the lights off. I did a little looking online and apparently some schools even go so far as to like have somebody come in the classroom like wielding a gun. Like they really like go all out. I don't know if that's just like true for like the high school kids or the older kids or whatever kids in college, but thankfully we didn't have to do any of that. It was already unnerving enough as it was without having to deal with that. I mean, it was basically just, locking the door and making sure the children like laid low and tried to be quiet, which again, even for like, regular ability, able regular ed children is difficult. So with children who might have special needs, it's like you're wondering, oh my gosh, if there was a real shooter, like would they be screaming and alerting them, letting everyone know we're in here? Sometimes they could shoot at the doorknob or whatever to get the lock off. You never know. Come through a window. People are crazy. So, at a school that I was at previously that I'd done a long-term assignment with, they would call it a lockdown. And when the lockdown was done, the principal or, another person designated in the office would come over the speakers, the PA system, and say, this is the end of the lockdown. So to start the lockdown, they would announce, this is a lockdown. Once you hear that, you then proceed to, get your children in a back area, closet, or whatever, bathroom, whatever, turn all the lights out in the classroom. And if you don't have like a closet or a little back room area like the one I was in did, or, you just have to have the children get low, like underneath tables and stuff. And they just stay there, kind of like a fire drill, when everything is like copacetic. They see, okay, how do we do whatever? They, say it's over. So the school that I went to yesterday, they said this is a lockdown when it was time for the lockdown to start. And then about 5 or so minutes later, I think it was the principal, I believe, came across the PA system and said, okay, all clear, which, in itself seems okay, fine, fair enough. Hope I never have to go through that again or whatever, real life. But it just made me think about how at a school I was at previously, where I worked a long-term assignment, like I said before, their procedure was actually a little different. And once you think about it, like the fact that your mind has to go there and think about all this stuff just to try to be prepared. I mean, it's crazy. But basically, whoever was making the announcement would first say, this is a lockdown. Okay, so, follow the instructions, gather children into the classrooms if they're not in the classrooms, all that stuff. Do the locking, lights out, whatever. So then, instead of saying this is the all clear or we're all clear, announcing that at the end of the lockdown, she would say this is the end of the lockdown. And then the teachers and everyone would know in the school, okay, this is the end of the lockdown. However, if she said this is the all clear, then the teachers were supposed to continue with the lockdown. The reason they had two different things that she would say at the end is because saying this is the end of the lockdown, that was the code for the, principal to communicate to the rest of the school, okay, we're done, we're good, we're clear, police are here or whatever, false alarm, whatever. But she said if she was to say all clear during the lockdown, it means, and this is really jacked up to have to think this, but anyway, it means that either the person who's supposed to make the announcement is like being held against their will, like they have a gun to their head or whatever. They're being told to say it's the all clear just so, people can, start unlocking their doors and letting their kids, go back to the bathroom or to different classrooms or to the cafeteria and, commence to do whatever. So in the horrible, scenario that would happen, the principal or whoever was making the announcement would say, this is the all clear. And that was the code that was supposed to happen. Indicating, no, it really wasn't all clear. You remain in lockdown. So it's the end of the lockdown. They would say, this is the end of the lockdown at the end. And then if it wasn't, they'd say, this is the all clear. And they would check every so often. I think the principal, assistant principal, security, whoever, go around and make sure. And the scary thing was that even though they had that understanding, there were still teachers who would forget or didn't know, whatever. They're stressed out, a lot on their mind. And when she would say stuff like, oh, well, you know what? I said, this is the all clear. I guess they would discuss it at meetings and stuff. She would, go around and talk to the teachers in the classroom, like afterward, them know how they did or whatever. And it's just, I guess, really, really important just to communicate, like have that communication, with everybody in the school. Teachers communicate with one another and students and any other staff in the school, because this is the world we live in now. And, I totally get why they had to do that. I mean, it's just, we're in a society nowadays where I guess it's better to be over prepared than not prepared enough. And, if it means having to do lockdown drills along with the fire drills and the, tornado drills, then hey, it's just, we got to do what we got to do. But like, it was just so eerie. Like it totally like threw my whole morning off, just kind of messed me up all day. Like I was just so happy that the children like don't really understand what's going on yet. Because like the more you think about it, like the more messed up it is. But yeah, I think that system is actually better I think that more schools or buildings should kind of adapt to that. I mean, because if you're going to go out of your way to try to prepare, be prepared, you might as well like make sure that you're the most prepared you can possibly be. And there were, situations in some of these shootings where, the shooters would tell the, other teachers or other, staff that they came across to let them know, okay, it's fine. Let them know that when it really wasn't. And so, even though that's the drill, the procedure, you never know what's gonna really happen. Like you never know what's really gonna go down until you experience it. And that's just something that I hope less and less people will start to experience. I hope there will come a time where there's like less and less shootings instead of like each year it seems like there was more and more shootings with more, you know, death tolls all the time, and people are really starting to get desensitized to it. It's crazy. It's very scary. Yeah, so it's still just kind of like, I don't know, but it's just the way it is. That's just the way life is now in this post 9/11 society. All right, that's all for now. Good night.